The Red Devil by W. H. Michael. No reproduction of this work is permitted without the author's approval. The sound of screeching tires was normal. Priya continued walking, her thoughts on other matters. Even though her birthday would mark the beginning of her summer vacation, it would not bring her happiness. Her father's voice played in her head. By your 18th birthday, you'll be in college, married, or out of my house. It happened again. Tires locked, screeching, then bam! A distracted driver struck an old black Rolls-Royce from behind. Priya heard the impact, but she kept walking. Hey! A man's voice called out to her. Wait a minute. There was a sound of a car door closing, and she knew his intentions. When he was close, she spun around quickly. No. Resettling her backpack, she turned to walk away, her wavy brown hair sweeping across her back. From behind his sunglasses, the man took in the young girl's form, and for a moment, he wondered if the sweet scent filling him was just his imagination. Please wait. Don't you know who I am? He took off his sunglasses as she stopped. You're that famous baseball star, rapper, rich businessman guy. She paused, tilting her head slightly. But I don't remember your name. She lied. He knew she lied, and he wanted her more. He even forgot about his own lie. He didn't care about the damage to his car. He just wanted to meet this girl, so beautiful she could cause accidents without the slightest reaction. That's right, it's me. And he waited, expectantly, but she wouldn't say his name. Seizing the moment, the man offered her a ride to school. It was only a few blocks away, but she accepted, saying he should know she's only 17. He opened the door, and she took in the scent of luxury. Generally, she found problems had solutions, as long as she waited patiently and was smart enough to see past the obstacles. Taking a little black notebook from his pocket, he asked for her number and her name. That's okay, she replied. He sighed. Phone numbers were usually something he collected and discarded effortlessly. It's for the insurance, since you saw the accident. I didn't. As the school entered view, time was running out. You know, you have a unique beauty. Who is your agent? Priya looked out the window. I could have my editor call, and she slung her backpack over her shoulder, preparing to get out. I'm not a model, she said, and opened the door. As the many students outside prepared to enter the school, several took notice of the Rolls-Royce, slowing to a stop. Even in the 90210, an old Phantom 3 still drew attention. The man wrote his number on a page, tore it out, and pressed it into her hand. Call me. As she got out of the car, he tried again. At least tell me your name. She gave a slight smile, amused, then replied, It's Priyanka. By the time she stopped by her locker and walked to her first class, the students were buzzing with the news. So, Chase and Silva. Do tell. Jennifer leaned over, whispering to Priya. Brooke leaned in as well, adding, Well, didn't you know? We didn't know you were dating Shay Z. Brooke's long, dark hair reached almost to the floor. She swung it over her shoulder for emphasis, then put her chin in her hand, fluttering her eyelashes. I'm not, Priya responded, volunteering no further information. Though they'd grown up together, they weren't friends. These two only acknowledged her when they wanted something. Perhaps they could have. They'd been together since elementary school, but as the girls grew older, Brooke and Jennifer grew mean, and Priya discovered the uncomfortable truth that she was adopted. While this revelation didn't ostracize her, she took the news hard, deciding she would no longer trust anyone. Leaving school later that day, she found Shason's Rolls parked in front of the school. He was giving autographs and posing for selfies. Brooke and Jennifer were there too. They must have mentioned her because he called her by name and offered her a ride home. Your friends are great. They told me your birthday is next week, the same day you graduate. Priya smiled lightly, then fibbed. I know. They're wonderful. Well, I'd like to give you a birthday/graduation present. She looked at him puzzled, but reached over, placing her hand on his. You don't even know me, Shason, she said, her eyes holding his with her own. He drew her hand to his lips and kissed, but his eyes never wavered. I know, but I want to. Let me take you to Mexico, then added quickly. Brooke and Jennifer already said yes. Graduation day was nothing memorable, and with only her backpack, she boarded Chason's yacht early the next morning. She didn't bother telling her parents she was leaving. They never showed up to her graduation, choosing not to bother with her as well. Brooke and Jennifer soon arrived, and they were underway. The first day at sea went as if by script. The girls were wild, while Chasen played the reserved, wealthy playboy. At first, she had difficulty hiding her feelings of resentment watching Brooke and Jennifer shamelessly flirt with Chasen. But soon, the energy of the moment dampened her inhibitions. Eventually, she was having fun chasing Brooke around the ship with a large water gun. That night, she found a sheer black nightie laying on the bed. Put it on. Putting it on, she told Chasen if he was a good boy, she would be his. Then, playing the role of the sophisticated fantasy girl, she made love to him with her body, but not her mind. The next day, while floating offshore from Santa Rosalia, Chasen proposed a photo shoot of Brooke and Jennifer swimming in the ocean, while he would take pictures from below in his small submersible. Brooke and Jennifer loved the idea. No one seemed to notice that Chasen excluded Priya from the plans. So she went below deck. She was watching videos in Chasen's office when she heard their first shrieks of excitement. Priya put on a headset she found in the desk drawer and turned up the volume. Chasen's little black book was in the drawer too. She was curious, so she opened it to find it full of his notes, business ideas, contacts, and on the back few pages, all of his financial accounts and passwords. She put it back, supposing he had a good reason for keeping his private information this way. A few hours later, Chasen returned. He was visibly excited and was not treating her like the treasured possession Priya expected. For a moment, she thought about grabbing the signed baseball bat mounted above his bed. Late that night, as he slept, Priya talked with the boat captain. He was a kind, older man. It seemed strange to her that until that point she barely noticed him or the crew. He was nice, and they talked about life and his family. I have a daughter, he said. She felt his sympathies in his voice. He was not blind to her condition. You remind me a lot of her. Sometimes I don't realize how much I miss her until times like this. You're protective of her. It was more a statement than a question, but the captain nodded and said, yes, I love her very much. Priya rose, gathering her robe about herself, then bent and caressed his face with both hands. You're a good papa, she whispered as she kissed his cheek. The captain took her hand. Your friends went by Zodiac into town after their swim, and they've decided to stay for the night. Perhaps you should see the town tomorrow, too. There's an airport. Maybe you miss your family. Priya returned to the cabin, finding Chasen the way she'd left him, sprawled naked on the bed. She went to his office and shut the door. Sitting down, she slipped on the headset. He must have been up at some point because a thumb drive protruded from the front of the computer. As it started up, she noticed the thumb drive loading. From the still image that appeared, she decided it must be a video of Brooke and Jennifer's swim, so she pressed play. In the video, she saw the two girls swimming, silhouetted against the surface of the water. While Chasen took their pictures, they dove to him, placing their kisses on the glass bubble of the submersible. In the clear waters, they looked like mermaids, their long, flowing hair flowing behind them. Then Priya saw several pale objects move into view. As they drew closer to the girls, she thought she heard them scream. But she heard Chasen's voice clearly. Hello, little ones. Come see who Daddy's brought for dinner. More of the creatures rose from the depths. They flashed bright red. Then long tentacles shot out towards the girls, wrapping them in their arms, dragging Brooke and Jennifer down into the deep. Priya saw Brooke's terrified face as the camera panned down, capturing the last desperate images. Chasen laughed when it was all over. My hungry little red devils. The video ended. Stunned, Priya played the recording again, trying to comprehend what she saw, and was about to play it a third time when the office door opened. There, Chasen stood, with bat in hand, his face twisted in anger as he drew it back. Priya stood up and turned away, but there was no escape. She cried out as the strike broke her. Still naked, every muscle in his body swollen with rage, he grasped her wrist, and with the baseball bat in his hand, drug her back to the bedroom. She couldn't breathe. There was nothing she could do except pray it would all soon be over. And it was. A single shot rang out, and Chasen fell beside her dead. Moments later, the captain was beside her, his hands still shaking. "Stay here. I must take us to shore and notify the authorities." Priya was in pain, more pain than she could have imagined, but she had to say something. "You can't. They won't believe us. And even if they do, the world never will. He's Shazy, and we're still nothing." She could see the desperation in the captain's eyes, but she also knew the man was complicit in the death of her friends. He'd lied to her. "Throw him to the Red Devils. Tell no one anything. Swear the crew to your loyalty, and everything will be okay. I promise." They did what she asked, tossing Chasen's body overboard. Then as they smacked the water with the oars from the lifeboats, the Red Devils came, dragging his body with them into the darkness. The next morning, as the yacht pulled into port, each of the crew found 3 years' wages in their bank account. The captain called for an emergency service once they'd reached the port, and they transported Priya to the hospital, where after several surgeries she was told she may never walk again. Weeks later, the captain wheeled Priyanka back to the ship and paused. "It seems you are in complete control now. I spoke with the crew, and we have all agreed to serve you, as long as you wish." Priyanka was pleased to hear this. She assured him all matters were indeed completely under her control. Chasen was eccentric, and she would use this to her advantage. "Good. We trust you, and we have a gift for you." He directed her eyes to the stern of the boat, where the name Red Devil was now gone, and its place written in golden script. She saw the newly painted words, "The Queen Bee."